Hence, I want to talk about the terms that have become the foundation of a commercial approach to promoting all these procedures and exercise supposedly aimed at strengthening the vagina or the pelvic floor muscles and so on. The issue is that I quite often encounter people, more precisely bloggers and physicians, who offer all kinds of procedures, courses, and schools to improve everything between the legs. And at the same time, they label all of this using non-specific, non-medical terminology. For example, the term of intimate muscles. I will explain how the term intimate muscles appeared in another video. When I started digging deeper into myths about Kegel exercise and related concepts, I found that many are based on misconceptions that needs clarification for accurate understanding. But first, about terminology. Using correct terms like vagina, vulva, and pelvic floor helps build trust and shows professionalism. As a physician, I cannot use non-medical terms or folk substitutes. I have had several conversations with bloggers who position themselves, for example, as evidence-based physicians, or who claim they practice evidence-based medicine, as well as with various fitness gurus, sexologists, and other specialists. Yet they use terms such as the intimate muscles in the title of their courses, in their advertising. In many cases, the pelvic floor is not even mentioned because pelvic floor does not sound very marketable. When I spoke with these people, especially when they asked me to promote the work, and these were individuals I considered to some degree evidence-based and supposedly serious in their approach, I realized after reading their promotional materials that they were working for the audience rather than for truth. What interested them most was misleading the public and imposing terminologies that does not exist. I had conversations with not just one but several such specialists, and I said to them, "You're a physician or a fitness specialist or trainer, and you use these terms, Kegel exercises, intimate muscles, just to name the simplest examples. Why do you use them if you understand that these are not correct terms?" Why they are incorrect, I will explain in another video. And the answer I received was, "You understand, people like it." But shouldn't people be told that these terms are incorrect? Of course, the phrase intimate muscles is seductive, but there is one core issue. Imagine that I'm a physician and a woman comes to see me and I start using folk expressions. I might say something like, "Let me take a look at your little rose. Your little rose looks quite good, and it's time to cast a fishing rod into that little hollow of yours and start conceiving children." Something along those lines. In every culture in the world, there are between 50 to 150 names, depending on the culture, for so-called intimate organs, both male and female. Anyone who has studied world languages and taken an interest in this topic knows how many such names exist. Every culture had them. Using folk expressions like little rose or fishing rod can undermine patient trust and understanding, leading to misconceptions about the bodies and health. When I conduct courses such as fertility marathons or other conception-related programs, or when I write books and articles, I always call things by their proper names. The vagina is a vagina. You may also use the term vagina in English, and there is a vulva or the perineum. Those are normal medical terms. Also, the pelvic floor is the pelvic floor. The point is this: intimate muscles do not exist. How can that be do not exist? Exactly like that. They do not exist. We speak of intimacy when something is hidden. And again, depending on historical periods, people have related to the body in very different ways. For example, in ancient Greece, people could walk around naked, hiding nothing, and there was no concept of intimacy, and we understand it today. In modern times, because we wear clothes, intimacy usually refers to the external genital organs, and in women, to breasts, everything that is considered morally inappropriate to display in public. But some nudists do not wear clothes on the beaches or in their communities, and this is considered normal for them. There are cultures where women completely cover their bodies, even their faces, because it's considered inappropriate to show the face. Only the eyes remain visible. In some cultures, even the eyes must not be shown. This illustrates that attitude towards the body, what may be shown and what may not, are shaped by cultural religions and ethical traditions. Therefore, every culture has its own concept of intimacy, and this too is normal. But if we speak in generally accepted terms, intimate areas are those located between the legs and the breast. That is why calling something intimate muscles is incorrect. For some people who are not ashamed of the bodies and are not afraid to show the external genital organs, there is no intimate zone at all, and therefore no intimate muscles. And I want to emphasize this once again. If someone uses terms such as intimate muscles or intimate exercise or strengthening intimate muscles, they are doing so purely for commercial purposes, such as commercial procedures and fraudulent courses. They are targeting those who know nothing about the anatomy or the structure of the body. That is why we will discuss the pelvic floor structure in other video. Please subscribe to be tuned in.